always thought being underestimated was a weapon, like, because they have no idea. You know what I mean?
Welcome to Let's Talk, ladies. Conversations across generations. I'm MB Roberts, an author and journalist, and this is a podcast where we talk to women from their 20s to their 90s about a bunch of hot topics. We ask questions, share experiences, and learn from each other. And it's not just about older women giving advice. We want to know what younger women are thinking too. Today, I'm joined by co-host Katie Neal. So let's get talking. You've probably heard that you're asking for trouble if you work with your significant other. But a lot of us do it anyway, for better or for worse. Pun intended there, a little marriage pun. In a previous episode, my co-host Katie Neal and I, hi Katie.
Hello.
We talked about this, and we've both worked with our husbands over the years. I'm a writer and my husband's a photographer, and we've done books and different magazine stories, other projects. Katie and her late husband, Chris, were both writers. So every situation is different, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And let's just say we both have learned from experience. Is that right? Like
absolutely.
Kind of just try to improve at
the pros and the cons.
So in this same episode we're referencing, our guest was Nashville-based improv artist Heather Hall, who writes and performs with her husband, Mike. And here's Heather talking about their different work styles.
I like to compare our work styles a lot of time. Mike is like a sports car. He is very responsive, he's very quick, and he can move just very quickly on anything. I compare myself in that metaphor to a freight train, where it takes me a long time to get going, but once I do, it is like I feel like I am a force, and that it's like this is just going to happen whether, the momentum's going and we're doing this. I'm hauling whatever I can.
So they make it work because they complement each other, right? He's. I mean, just to sum it up, he's fast, she's slow. Who does that remind you of?
That was such a brilliant metaphor that she used. I instantly knew what she meant in the different working styles, and of course, I felt like that was a little bit like us.
Yes, like Katie and I.
But it was so great that she'd even thought about it that much and could explain it in that way.
Yeah,
really
that was a really she obviously has thought about that, or that's kind of come up in her life. But I also like that they switch off who's in charge.
Yes.
Now, not all couples do that who work together. You know, maybe there's,
or you can't always because of the way it's structured.
Exactly. Maybe there's a good cop, bad cop, or just I like that they switch off who's in charge, and maybe their working relationship is easier because they make people laugh for a living. Do you think so? Probably.
I mean, like if you think about two ER doctors, working together, that might be a little more stressful. Sorry, I've been watching too much of The Pit.
Well, I may or may not have watched every piece of Grey's Anatomy, and there's always a couple in the room in Grey's Anatomy.
It might help, disagreeing over what's funny versus disagreeing over how to save this person's life.
Right. But what are the stakes? Yeah, you have to, I guess in the ER, you wouldn't worry about hurting someone's feelings. You need to get
someone's ego.
And we talked about how it's often creative couples who work together. Why do you think that is?
I just think creative people are drawn to each other, and also meet on working on creative projects and kind of have a kinship. There's just, in order to be creative, there's like a vulnerability there, and I think that lets you connect with people and maybe feelings develop.
Oh, right. And not to say that, I mean, certainly we both know couples who are both accountants, or they're both a doctor or in the medical field, but I think a lot of people end up working together because they met at work.
Absolutely.
Like you.
Well, there's a point after you leave college, where you're like, okay, where am I going to meet somebody now? And it's like, where are you all the time? You're at work.
That's right. And then remember, I think that, I think you have to really be careful these days, from an HR perspective. But it used to be kind of frowned upon to date someone at work. So I know you had that feeling like you just wanted to be discreet at first, right?
Yes.
And not tell people.
I mean, I was like 25, so I was like, oh, who cares? We're in love. And he was older and a little bit more worried, probably rightfully so. And now I have to say, now I just do not know that I would go there again. I think I'm much more career minded now and would really, really, really think about, this isn't a good idea, unless it was just undeniable, which it kind of felt like it was with Chris. So maybe that's what maybe when you just really know, it's different than, just a flirtation. And I don't know if this is going to go somewhere. Is it worth blowing up the workplace?
Right. But when you're a couple working together, I always wanted to make sure that we presented professionally.
Yes.
And not. But then I'd slip. It's like when I first met my husband, I was helping him to sell some advertising jobs. He's to do the photography on advertising jobs, and I didn't want people to know I was his girlfriend, using quotes here. But then I'd blow it. We'd be having lunch or something, and I'd say, "Don't you think so, honey?" Or okay, cat's out of the bag. Or there was once that we lived together, and a client phoned, and we were still sleeping.
Yeah.
And I said, "Don't answer the phone." And he just answers the phone and goes, "Hello." and then someone asked for me, and he goes, "Hold on." And he just hands me the phone. So it was clearly we were in bed.
Oh my gosh.
But that's just so him to be I'd be like, "Oh no, don't do that. Don't do that."
But I also do feel like it's more kind of acceptable because it's so common in the creative fields. You see it more. Now I'm in a much more corporate environment. I think that's why I'd be a little bit more careful about it.
Right. I think
when you're working in a creative field, you see that happen all the time.
You have your business together. Well, our guest today is in a similar situation.
Absolutely.
Aimee Mayo, she's 53. She's an author and songwriter, very successful songwriter. You've probably heard one of her songs today.
Or 10. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or, so many.
No question. She one of the best known songs that she co-wrote with her husband was Amazed.
Yes.
The Grammy-nominated song that Lone Star performed that just blew up in every kind of way. But she's written songs for Tim McGraw, Meghan Trainor, Backstreet Boys, Martina McBride, and she's one of the few female artists to receive both BMI's Country Song of the Year and Songwriter of the Year awards. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
She wrote a memoir that I just love. It's called Talking to the Sky. It is just you cannot believe some of the things that she has been through in her life.
I'm adding that to my Libby right now. I always do that with our guests who've written books.
Oh wow, it's fantastic, and she's gotten a lot of accolades for that. Talking to the Sky, and she is married to songwriter Chris Lindsey. They've got 3 kids, and they work together a lot. And we're going to hear from Aimee. Hi, Aimee.
Hey.
Oh my gosh, we're so glad to have you here.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we've been friends and did a little work together years ago, but it's great to see you back. So we'll jump right into our very fun topic today, or maybe we'll let the dear listeners decide if it's fun or not, right? We won't tell them.
It's probably a little of both.
Yeah, right. Well,
fun and scary.
Exactly. So in a previous episode, we talked about women who work with their husbands, and think of like a family business, or like my friend's mom growing up, she ran her husband's dental practice, and there's been a lot of that, in our lives. But with you and your husband, Chris Lindsey, you play shows, you write songs. I understand you're working on a TV show, a book.
Yes.
And so it sounds like working with him was a choice. Is that right?
Well, we met at the Bluebird, and so
the Bluebird is the famous venue here in Nashville where people get quote discovered. It's a lot of songwriters nights. It's very, very intimate. That's a pretty neat place to meet.
Well, it couldn't really be more romantic for songwriters. My publisher sent me to see this other guy, and so there was a round of like 4 songwriters. And I didn't like any of that guy's songs. The one I was supposed to be there, like, to talk to about writing.
Oh, they were trying to maybe have you work together. Yeah.
But then Chris played, and I loved his first song. And then he played another one, and I loved it. And then after, I think he played 4, and I loved every one. So then I went and introduced myself, and then he called my publisher wanting to set up a day to write.
Right.
And then we were, from the very first co-write, like best friend. Like, we just hit it off so comfortable with each other.
Isn't that great?
And we worked together for 4 years before we ever, like, any kind of romantic feelings.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. So you really were really good friends.
We were great friends. Like, if you write with somebody all the time, you're like almost each other's therapist. You know all their stuff.
Sure.
You know everything, all their skeleton. You know it all.
Yeah. What an amazing way to get to know somebody. And you guys really had a lot of chemistry as far as working together at first, right?
Yeah.
Like you were getting a groove right away, just friendship and also the working.
It was mostly friendship for like 4 years, and then our feelings started changing a little bit, and then well, I don't know, in the beginning I would have never dreamed we would end up like, I just would have never thought. Well, he was married for one thing, and I had 2 different long-term boyfriends. Like, when we were, and it's so weird because I saw a picture the other day of my birthday party when I was turning 24, and my boyfriend was sitting next to me, and then Chris was on the other side of him, like, and you could tell, like, the way he was looking at me, you could tell, like, there was feelings, you know, like, but we just, I don't know, that was never even a thought I had back then.
Oh my gosh. And so
That's
like
wild.
so then you're working together for 4 years, and really, when did it spark?
We just started writing all these love songs to each other. Like, we wrote Amazed, that Lone Star song.
Oh my gosh. You guys probably know Amazed.
I'm
It's
convinced
one
the
of the
feeling
biggest songs.
got in that. The feeling of falling in love got in that song. Because every time it comes on, I still feel it. And then our co-writer Marv Green, he was falling in love, and like he's been married like as long as we have. Like, we got married in Sedona, and then he ended up getting married.
So did
in
we.
Sedona.
Did you know that?
No,
I did too.
You got married in Sedona?
Yes, ma'am.
I had never even been to Sedona before we got married.
It's
you been
amazing.
there?
I had, and so we picked that on purpose. But what a amazing!
I'll tell you something, and I got a good question that I have to ask. Okay, I'm kind of freaking out because I think we might not really be married. We just celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary.
I had a similar thing because
we
got
been
a cowboy preacher.
Did you do a marriage certificate?
Yeah.
Did you go to somewhere to do it?
Yes.
Okay. Then I don't think we're married.
Well, we're going to have to talk about this. I might be able to be helpful.
Yeah.
We went to the courthouse and to get our marriage license 2 days before, the Yavapai County Courthouse. And it's this tiny little place in the middle of the desert. And I kid you not, we got in line, and it was all the functions. It was all the, driver's license, everything. And there was a guy with a ball and chain, I swear, in front of us, getting admitted to, or getting processed to go to jail.
My gosh.
And so here we are in line behind him, and my husband goes, "Well, we're in the right place," and I didn't have, we didn't have phones to take pictures.
Oh yeah.
Unbelievable. Okay, well, I will help you about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell Chris that y'all got because he just don't want to believe it ain't true. And then when I told him we
gotta check this out.
Yeah, our daughter's like, there is no record of y'all being married. And so when I told Chris, he's like, we're as married as it gets.
Yeah,
I think there's some stuff.
We
there.
just celebrated our 25th anniversary.
That's incredible. Okay, well
we gotta give
we gotta
give listeners some context if maybe they're younger. But when I started at Country Weekly, I started in 2000. And Amazed was still just this monster hit. I mean, didn't it break all kinds of records for like time at #1? I mean, it was like the biggest song there was.
Totally.
And still, people know it, but just at the time, there was like no bigger hit.
Yes.
Country radio, pop radio.
We wrote all these love songs to each other.
It's so cool that
and
you
so
were actually falling in love. I think you're right.
First song that you wrote to, or the first hit you guys had together.
don't know. It was Chris's first number one. I'd had a number one. I'd had a couple hits, but Chris, like, he kind of got spoiled. It was his first, like, might even been his first single, and then that was like, that kind of messed up the other singles after. But so we were writing love songs. I wrote this song I love with my friend Bill Luther called "My Best Friend" Tim McGraw did it, and then that was my song to Chris, and then he wrote this song called "I Want to Be Your Everything" that was a big hit for Keith Urban, and that was his song for me before that song, the lyrics about made me cry.
That's so really.
I think you're right. There's something magic about. There was something magic about falling in love while you wrote "Amazed."
Yeah,
I know.
Because there's so many love songs, and that is an absolutely beautiful love song. But that one to just resonate with so many people.
It's funny because it's been enough time that people that. Like, a lot of people got married to that song.
Yes.
So it's been enough time now that, I was at this bar and this girl came up to me and she's like, "You wrote that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I hate that effing song."
Oh.
And I didn't really know what to say back. And she said, "That was my wedding song and I'm divorced."
Oh, okay, so not your
so
fault.
now, like, a lot of people got married to it and now they hate
You're
it.
like, could I offer you another song that I've written, like, perhaps? And like, so you guys, I mean, you have this huge hit out of the gates. Then over the years working together, did that put pressure on? Because how do we?
Well, we wrote just so many love songs. We wrote "Let's Make Love" for Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. There was just a whole string of love songs. Like, we kind of laugh and call it the summer of love. There was just we had so many love songs on the radio this one year. And then it's funny because our songs over the years started changing. And like,
I was going to ask, any about fighting? Or
there's
any about...
one I love called "Let's Get Drunk and Fight," and the lyrics are so good in it. And then they just started changing, like, and we have a new song, Jamie Johnson. Do y'all know him?
Yes.
He's my favorite traditional singer.
Wonderful.
And this
singer.
song, we wrote this song with our friend Troy Burgess, and this song is one of my favorite songs we've ever written. Then it's sang by one of my favorite singers, and that song wipes me out. It's called "Someday When I'm Old." Like, y'all should listen to it. It's so, it's beautiful. But there's a line in it. I can't even say the line without crying almost. It's like, I probably, just listen to it. I'll get emotional with that line.
Totally do it. Well, so you were talking one time, I think it was something that I read, just, I mean, there's days you're working together and, you're getting on each other's nerves or something.
We fight like hell. We've been fighting for 2 weeks right now because we've been making the pitch deck for that TV show.
Okay, so you guys are working on a possible TV show.
We've got the first episode and the second episode, and we're doing the pitch deck, which has ended up being really stressful and hard because we've never done one, and we just worked on this for 2 years, so we want it to be great, as great as we can get it, but. Oh my gosh, we've been fighting.
And then how does that work? Do you end up, going to your corners for a little while or
we will get in a knockdown, drag out, cuss each other out, fight, but we don't hold grudges. Like our kids are used to it because we'll get in a big fight, but by nighttime we're laughing and eating dinner.
Oh, that's amazing, because I was going to ask if you are able to put the work aside and then. Like, if it didn't go so great?
This has been harder to put aside because we're doing it, like, more. It takes more hours of the day than writing songs. Like, and usually when we write songs, we're writing with somebody else. But we had to come up with a code word for songwriting because there's this artist, you might know Rodney Atkins.
Oh, yeah.
So we were writing with him at BMG one day, and we got in a fight in there with him. And so I got up and went to the bathroom. Well, Chris got up and went somewhere, and I didn't know till like a year later at the BMI Awards, we just left that guy there. And he just, like, he didn't know what happened because Chris thought I went back, and I thought he went back.
And you weren't communicating.
Yeah. And Rodney came and
Rodney's
found
still
me.
He's sitting there in the
He's
lobby.
like, "Where the hell did y'all go?" And so then we got a code word, popsicle. If somebody's like, if we're about to get really mad at each other, somebody says it, then we go out and we talk about it and not fight in there with them.
Right, with the other person. Because that's great. You have a safe word, a code word, and so how does that work then? talking about Rodney or other writers you've worked with a lot, how is the dynamic between three? Like, do you find sometimes, that you and Chris are on the same page and maybe that person isn't?
Yes,
or...
it's always different. Like, it's always different. Sometimes, usually with a newer artist, we're on the same page. Like, but sometimes with somebody, a more seasoned writer, Chris will focus more like on the track and the music, and then I'll try and work out. I have ideas a lot. I'll take an idea in. That's like my favorite thing. And then I do melody too, but so I'll be concentrating on the lyric, and then he'll be over there doing the music, and they'll be singing, and we'll kind of be working that out.
Everybody sort of has their lane.
Yeah.
Like, I was going to ask you what you kind of you bring like, are you more upbeat? I mean, you're a very upbeat person. Like, are you
like a lot of, for some, I've written a lot of songs about death, for like, because my dad died young, and then I lost a friend young, and then I've got this other song that Tim McGraw just cut on his last record about losing your dog, and that song is a tearjerker.
You're gonna get somebody crying here.
You've got to listen to it. It's so good. Like, and I'm also writing a book about losing your dog, like that. It's called Soulmate Dog. It's finding, loving, and losing that once in a lifetime dog. And because
oh my gosh, people are gonna love that.
People
Aimee,
don't talk about the grief of losing their dog. Like, it's almost like people grieve over their dogs in a way they don't grieve over other people. Like,
and the soulmate dog thing is real, because I love my dog that I have now. He's so sweet, but my soulmate dog I lost in 2020, and I mean, he was just
how old?
15. So
Yeah.
I got 15 years with him.
but that was rough.
But it was rough. She
awful.
helped me. Yeah.
I mean, and the thing, when they start getting older like that, you start dreading it. You know, like, I'm just like, because our dog Girlfriend, she's my soulmate dog that I love so much. I started the book multiple times, but she got cancer, and I thought, I'm bringing this into my life somehow, so I would stop, and then but she's had 3 cancer surgeries. She's got one eye, and she's deaf, and she's the funniest dog I've ever known in my life. But see, we have another dog too, Batman, and Batman's like a fat black pug, dumb as a donut. All he cares about is food. He doesn't care about anything but food. Like, he doesn't play with you, snuggle with you. He just loves food.
Yeah.
And Girlfriend, like, she snuggles with me. If I scoot over, she scoots over, right beside me.
Yeah, she doesn't want to be apart from you. Aimee, I was wondering when now you guys have such a track record, obviously you and Chris together, but is there ever times when somebody sort of at their peril underestimates you as a woman? Like, say there's 2 guys, it's
Always.
Chris and
Well,
really?
I mean, now not as bad, but like,
I mean, you have a pretty awesome track record.
When I started out, now they don't so much, like, but when I first started, like, because there weren't that many girls, like,
Yeah, it's very much
every
a boys'
big
club.
publisher might have one girl,
Yeah.
like, and they had their girl. That was like the way it was.
Wow.
And then I feel the same way with the Hall of Fame, like the songwriters, they'll have their one girl every year.
Yeah.
When they induct
and
the group,
everybody
yeah.
counts the, how many and all that. And so, like, always in the beginning, like, anybody I didn't know, it would start, everybody, I always thought being underestimated was a weapon, like, because they have no idea. You know
you're
what
like,
I mean?
go ahead and underestimate.
Yeah.
You'll see. You'll see. Yeah, it worked in your favor, kind of.
Yeah, I always, like, because I don't really care what they think. It's what you do that matters.
That's right. And then was there ever a time that sort of, like, look, I know that doesn't happen often, you usually like the people you're working with, but is there, or a music business executive or something, like, where maybe Chris stood in and stood up for you, or vice versa, maybe you had to stand up for Chris?
Yeah, there's been times, like, we worked with this one artist off of American Idol. I won't say his name. He could have been a superstar, and he had a couple hits, but he just treated me terrible.
Really?
And like, I had invested so much time on this that I went ahead and pushed through, but then I ended up producing one of the songs, and Chris wasn't even in the studio when we did it, and then he didn't give me credit. That guy didn't. But I just, like, I just wanted to get through that because I knew I wasn't ever working with this guy again.
Yeah.
And then I saw him like at a coffee shop, and he's wanting to write like about a year later. He lost his record deal because he treated everybody terrible. And we tried to tell him, you cannot treat, these big writers. He would go write with like huge writers and just act like a jerk.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's like,
He
that
was
didn't
gone.
work for him.
Yeah, it didn't take long, like, because Nashville's small, like.
Yeah, that's
it
right.
is.
And
there
yes.
is kind of an etiquette,
Oh, yeah.
I would think so. I think it would be different than like in Nashville. Just there's more of a sort of polite, society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not as mean as maybe some of the other
People,
places.
like, it's a small community, so everybody, like, gets jealous, but they still root for their friends.
Yeah.
Yep. That absolutely.
I wanted to ask, like, you and Chris, obviously write a lot together, but do you ever sort of feel a little bit competitive, or do you ever feel like, oh man, I wish I'd come up with that line or that idea or that melody?
I think, like, I feel like he's more competitive than me. He would argue and say I'm more competitive, but I don't know. I feel like I'm always doing so many things, and he wrote like this one song that I just love so much. It's called "Poison and Wine" by the Civil Wars. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it so much. And I was working on my book, and like I was just in my book because it took 15 years to finish it. And so I was just in the middle of my book, and he was going to write at this retreat, a writer's retreat, and I didn't want to do it. And so when we were in the driveway, we were fighting, and I yelled at him like, "You think your dreams are the same as mine?" And that was a line in that song. And
he took it.
yeah, but I didn't care because it's a great
Inspiration
line.
comes from anywhere. But
and he drove over there pissed off, and then he had a title, "Poison and Wine," and he went in there, and then all that got in that song.
Oh, see, because people say, like you started out, you had this big hit when you're in love, and people are always like, oh, art is better when you're fighting or it's angsty, It's like, but
Fleetwood Mac.
But either can be true, right?
Think,
either you're happy or you're mad. Either can work.
It's easier to write when you're sad. Everybody wants to write when they're sad.
Yeah.
And to me, sad songs are way easier. Then I would say next, the next that are love songs aren't as easy as sad songs. I think though the hardest songs are funny songs, and that's why there's not that many. And whenever there is, it's usually a big, like A Boy Named Sue or some of these. They're, to me, the funny ones are the hardest.
Is it because, like, especially if you're working with your husband or just a writer really well, is it because you guys have kind of your inside joke or something, and maybe that doesn't translate to the whole world? Or why is a funny one hard?
I'm trying to think which ones we've done that are funny. Let's Get Drunk and Fight's pretty funny because it's talking about real stuff, like you can scream at me and you can insult my mother, just all these things people do when they're fighting. And that one is pretty funny, but it's like, I feel like same way with writing a book or anything. It's harder to make somebody laugh out loud than to make them cry.
Well, I did laugh out loud.
In the book.
Aimee was working on her book many years ago, and it had, as we mentioned before, it has since come out, and it's fantastic. But I literally spit out my drink reading your story about when you were a kid stalking Rick Springfield.
Yes.
Oh my God!
I let him read that, which is
then
insane.
It came full circle, and then in your life you met him as a successful songwriter, even wrote with him, right?
Yes, we wrote with him on Valentine's Day. Chris was like, "This is the last place I want to spend Valentine's Day with my wife and Rick Springfield."
Because he knew your story. Were you able to, when you met him in person years later, were you able to kind of hold it together? I mean, like if Springsteen came in the room right now, I don't know how I would behave.
When he was sitting next to me, I kept turning 13 over and over, and I kept this Starbucks cup that said Rick, and it molded. And I just loved him. I just loved him. And he thought it was funny, which I was glad. But I had so many women just tell me the funniest stories, about
they did something similar.
Yeah, their neighbor was like banging on the floor because they were laughing. You know, like just when they were reading it, that they were laughing so hard.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. In the book, you got to read this story. What Aimee, as a kid, went to see a Rick Springfield show, and hijinks ensued.
Oh
It
my
was
gosh.
really
Oh my gosh.
awesome.
It gets nuts.
So, if there's a young newlywed right now, like a woman just got married and she works with her husband, or she's going to, let's say they're gonna do a creative thing or start a business, what's your best advice for them?
My best advice, well, when somebody's starting out, they're nicer to each other. You know what I mean? They like it.
So true.
Like as they're married, they're like, my best advice, and it doesn't matter if you work together or not, is like to expect the best out of the person. Don't think they're gonna screw this up and you know, like, because you almost cause that to happen. And if you treat them like who you want them to be.
There you go, and you can manifest a good result, and that's good for working together or living together.
That's just
right?
good marriage advice. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And like my favorite quote about being married, this is somebody, you don't get this unless you've been married over probably 10 or 15 years. But my favorite quote is somebody asked Gwyneth Paltrow's dad the secret to staying married for 40 years in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And he said, we never wanted to get a divorce at the same time.
There you go.
So true.
Oh my gosh, that rings a little true. Yeah, because if you both do, might be in trouble. Aimee, it was so good to talk to you.
Yeah,
today.
I love
So
this.
great.
I love it being two people.
Oh
Yeah.
Oh, good. It's like your writing sessions. There's
Oh, yeah.
three of us,
Yeah,
and we know
three.
each other really well.
Yeah, I
and,
think that's really fun.
There's
Yeah.
some magic in 3.
well, we really want women of all different ages to hear about this and to share what they're going through. So thank you for being so open to this.
Yeah, I loved it.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Let's Talk, Ladies, Conversations Across Generations. We'd love to hear from you. If you liked this episode, please subscribe to the show on Apple or Spotify and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can also send us an email at comments@lets-talkladies.org or leave us a message at 629-888-3542. We'll talk again soon on LTL.